Good evening, everyone. Before I start, got to thank a few people. You know, Papa, you know, you more than family, you're a brother. And ALG is like my second family. When I talk about the African Leadership Group, it's more than just talking about an organization. It's talking about a part of me that I'm still exploring, that I'm still learning, and still growing into. So anytime I step in space in the African Leadership Group, I am at home. So right now, I am at home. I want to thank my wife for being here today and always supporting and making sure I'm on time and making sure I'm looking the part and all that great stuff. And to my mother for being here today, who gave me birth. And you'll probably hear a few of those stories as I talk. I won't be long, but definitely some growing up stories. To my Cherry Creek family, to my NAACP family, and to the community and fellow educators, thank you for being here today. Now let's get to why we're here. Safety and excellence. I don't know if I put an and in between, because if you have excellence, to me, you have safety. I'm going to repeat that. If you have excellence, then you have safety. And for me, it's about where I come from and how I was born and how I was groomed to do everything I do today. My mother, she don't know I'm going to tell this story, was a bus driver. My father, an educator. Now, we were separate homes, but the co-parenting worked and everything was good. I used to have to catch the city bus, not a school bus, but the city bus to my high school and to my middle school. And my mother always said, come straight home. I'm going to repeat that. My mother always said, come straight home. This wasn't the time of cell phones. This wasn't the time of social media, meaning that when that home phone rang that sometimes dialed, sometimes was a push button, I better be in the house. And if the ring stops, I hope it rings again, because sometimes I only got one chance to answer that phone. My mother was instilling consistency, responsibility, and understanding that when you have these core values, good things can happen. My father was a college professor. He's retired now, enjoying life, playing golf, all those great things. What I learned from my father is that you invest in the community, or you invest in one person, you're actually investing in the community. My father saw in Compton, California, that kids had a little bit of a gap with their peers in regards to literacy, in regards to math, in regards to science. So my father said, hey, if you don't want to do a research paper, why don't you meet me at Compton Community College? We invite all of Compton Unified who wants to come, and they can receive free tutoring on Saturdays. And out of his pockets, he provided snacks. No federal grant, no state grant, no money whatsoever, just him seeing a need where kids needed support. See, excellence is what you invest in people. Excellence is what you invest in people. See, there's this man by the name of Dr. Glenn Singleton. For those who follow his work, he came up with this concept on how you discuss difficult topics, especially race, but you can apply it to other things. It's called the protocol. It's called the compass. It's in this book called Courageous conversations. And there's 4 parts to the compass we're going to work through in order to understand this concept of safety and excellence. First is believing. See, I wake up every morning believing that every single kid can learn, but I always try to think, do every educator believe that? See, when you walk into a school, you're walking into a community. When you park, as soon as you park into a school, you in that community. If you're in the lunchroom, you in the community. If you're with kids, you're in the community. If you're warming up your lunch and you're sitting with other teachers, you're in the community. If you're with the custodial staff, you're in community. If you're with the public safety staff, you're in community. And if any of those break down in the belief that all kids can learn, there's a problem. All of them have to be engaged. See, if you believe in something and you're emotionally investing in it, you will make sure it's protected on all levels. What does that look like? See, when we talk about safety, we're talking about physical safety, emotional safety, virtual safety in this day and time. And that physical safety, I believe, is what some people think about every single day. As a parent, you send your child to school, you drop them off, you had a great conversation, and the only thing you ask is that the way you dropped your child off is the way I want my child to come home. See, I believe, once again, I'm in the belief stage, that we do all we can as a school to make sure our kids are safe. I work for Cherry Creek School District, and I know there's some improvement. I know DPS has improvement. I know Aurora Public Schools has improvement. But believe it or not, every single educator wakes up in the morning thinking about not only how am I going to teach my kids to learn, but how do I keep them safe? So even in our classrooms, we're thinking about it. We take that backpack home with us every single day. So when you drop your kid off, believe that even that SRO officer, the security guard, the teacher, the custodian, even the volunteers in the room, number 1 priority is for your kid to be safe. And see, as we step through this protocol, the next part is thinking. See, while we're thinking about safety, sometimes we neglect other parts of education because we're thinking about, okay, is the classroom safe, this, that, and the other? But now we have a literacy gap and a reading gap that we have to address. Part of it because of COVID, but it expanded after COVID. Because many kids didn't have the access or the resources they need when we shut down. And now we have some kids who are walking into school who are 2 and 3 grades behind. And see, while we're thinking about safety, yes, we have to think about safety, but there's some statistical data that say it's going to take 15 to 20 years for that gap to get narrow. Think about that. 15 to 20 years. I don't have 15 to 20 years to wait. So what do we do? See, I go back to my father. See, my father said, we'll just open up a free tutoring program. Well, I'm going to give a few things I think that could work. See, I believe your home is a university and you don't even know it. Your home is not just a school, your home is a university. You say, well, I don't have all these books, this, that, and the other. Believe it or not, every single thing you need to probably have a BA degree, a master's degree, a PhD sits right in your home. See, let's talk about how that works. How many of y'all baked the cake lately? Baked the cake? How many of y'all cooked and probably had to buy some things at the grocery store? How many of y'all watch TV? How many of you are on social media scrolling every 10 seconds looking for likes? Now, what about if you was to break that down to a lesson plan? What about if you would take the ingredients on the back of your book, or on the back of the cardboard box that the ingredients come in for baking, and break those words down, look those words up, and have a family discussion about it? What about you talking about your oral history? It doesn't have to be written down, and sharing it with your kids and ask them to begin to share their history. Now you got history going. What about when you cook? And maybe using that as a science project that you use the measurements to make sure that your meal is coming out even and perfect. What about when you go shopping and you're trying to teach financial literacy, science, math, money management? Don't tell me the university is not in your home. That's thinking. Now, kid hasn't even gotten to school yet. See, in our schools, we're doing all we can to fill the gap, but we need all hands on deck to level this thing and to get this number lower from 15 to 20 years to get that gap lower, that reading gap, that literacy gap. It's all hands on deck. If you just drop your kid off at school and you just say, hey, I expect a miracle to happen, then that's the wrong way to approach education. Now, we as teachers have to walk in there believing that every single kid can learn. I started teaching at Long Beach Unified School District. We're going to the feeling category. We did believing, we did thinking, now we're in feeling. My first teaching assignment was at Long Beach Jordan. That was the second one, but somewhat the first. Long Beach Jordan High School. I had something called the transition school because, you know, when you're young and you're motivated and you got all that energy and you ask for stuff, I said, I want the most challenging kids in the district. And they gave them to me with a smile. And there was a new concept in the district called the transition school. And these were kids who were either about to be suspended or about to be expelled or coming back from court, coming back from juvenile hall, all these different things. I was their only teacher. I was their administrator. I was their counselor. I was their doctor. If I didn't show up to school, there was no school. We went to school from 2 to 6 p.m., and my classroom was under the auditorium, so if there was an evening performance, I could hear all the dancing and see all the people running through the dressing room and all that great stuff. In that basement where we taught, it wasn't about the physical space. It wasn't about the lack of resources we had from 2 to 6 because we didn't have access to everything in the school. It was about the belief of the educator in the room that all kids could learn. Them kids learned how to write APA writing style. Sophomores, freshmen, seniors. I never expelled or suspended one student. If that student was having a rough day, I said, look, why don't you go take a walk, come back. Or you could go home and come back tomorrow, but you're not being suspended, you're not being expelled, because I need you here every single day. A new term was introduced to me today called replacement behavior. See, I was doing that and didn't even know it. See, we come with this discipline where we say we want to expel, we want to suspend, we want to incarcerate, we want to give out all sorts of citations and things of this nature. No. We got to figure out how to triage the kid, triage the family, keep that kid in school, keep that kid motivated. When you send that kid home, there's a possibility we may be introducing that kid to the criminal justice system. There's a possibility that that kid, within that 1 week of suspension, fall a semester behind. As educators, we have to do all we can to keep all kids in school, and if we have to put them in a smaller environment, Let's do that. But do not expel them. Do not suspend them. Now, for some egregious things, we have to do that. But how do we keep the learning going? Even if we have to put them in an environment where their learning is continued from the general population of the school, let's do that. But if we send that kid home with no instruction, no classwork, nothing, that kid will possibly fall behind a full semester in that week, that day. Let's get to acting, the last component. See, I'm a big vision person. I learned this from Papa. Papa said, Omar, if you want to do something, don't do it small, do it big. So ever since, Papa and I have been hanging out, when I hang out with folks, I ask for big stuff. I don't ask for small stuff. And as an educator, I have a vision and I have a dream. One, the Aurora branch of the NAACP, this is a side note, but it goes with what we're saying, is committed to eradicating youth violence in the city of Aurora. That's our number one charge. And for those of you that are here in the Aurora branch of the NAACP, know that is something I am 100%, we are 100% committed to. We're also committed to economic development. Why? We gave out over $150,000 along with Visit Aurora, along with the Village Exchange Center, and we gave out over $150,000 in small business grants during COVID and post-COVID. So, Omar, why are you sharing this in the middle of a speech where you're going through a protocol and all these different things? Because kids think differently today. They think about finances and the money in their pocket. Some of them are the ones that's making the most money in the house and they're 12 and 13 years old. Some of those kids are out there trying to shovel yards and trying to, I knew one kid who was reselling his Jordans online and made a couple of $1,000s in a year. Let's think innovative now. What about if we re-looked at our child labor laws and began to offer kids entry-level jobs between the age of 13 and 17, where they could work up to 10 to 15 hours and their grades need to stay up? Let's think about that. Because we always talk about, kids and finances. Well, let's think about it. Our crime rate went up, and there's kids that's breaking his cars, there's kids that's stealing cars, many of them because they're taking care of families. Many of them don't know when their next meal is going to be when school is out. Many of them don't know, they got to buy medication for their brothers and sisters. They got to do all these different responsibilities that adults have at the age of 12, 13, and 14. So let's teach them how to save. Let's teach them about financial literacy. Let's teach them about entrepreneurship. And let's give them a chance to earn some income. My second big picture. APS, Cherry Creek, and DPS all fall in the same area. Do you know, how many of y'all know kids that's been to all three? Some of y'all been to all three. And the kids go in and out of the different schools. What about if we had a regional approach to public safety, a regional approach to getting rid of the literacy gap, and a regional approach to looking at academic success? Let me tell you what that looks like. Because people are looking at me like, Omar, what are you talking about? There's 3 different school districts. I'm not saying combine the school districts. What I'm saying is some of those school districts do things well. Aurora Public Schools has a strong, robust after-school program. DPS has some great honors and IB programs. Cherry Creek has a new leadership program that's committed to reducing violence in schools and in the community that is working. So what about if Cherry Creek shared their violence prevention program, if DPS shared their honors and IB work that they're doing, and if APS shared their after-school program, and they met quarterly to look at how they could support each other in academic success, and then apply that to public safety at the same time. Let's think big. Let's not think small. Let's think in ways we haven't thought about education before. Our kids are counting on us. Now, we're going to listen to them because they got some phenomenal ideas. They're going to bring it. But at the same time, we're the ones that's in the classrooms. We're the one that's making the decisions. Why don't we do something that could work? Why don't we do something that's different? Because the same old is going to have that 15-year gap, 20-year gap of kids who are not going to be able to read and write. Entrepreneur Magazine earlier this month put out some of the top fields that people need to prepare for. Artificial intelligence, computer science, public health. I was shocked to see education on there. Economics. These are some of the top fields we have to prepare kids for. Now, on the other end, there's also trades. Because even those that's dealing with AI technology are going to have a plumbing problem, an electrician problem, and if we keep having hailstorms here, we're going to have more roofs that need to be repaired. I say that to say we need to balance these opportunities for kids. Some of the kids will go to Harvard, CU Denver, Metro, major in some great things. Some of our kids are going to say, well, I want a trade. I want a certification. I want to learn how to run my own business. I want to learn how to be a plumber. You can make 6 figures as an entry-level plumber now. Why? Because there's a shortage of plumbers. There's a shortage of air traffic controllers. There's a shortage of nurses. And you can step right into these careers right now. And then we teach them how to save, how to budget, how to invest, and how to do generational wealth. See, it started with Sawubona, a Zulu term for I see you. And it's more than just I see you, it's also I see every single thing that you bring. See, for me, if I see you, that means I have to invest in you. That means we're investing in excellence, meaning the safety is going to come, the learning is going to come, but I have to see you first. Do we see our kids or do we just talk at our kids? Do we see the pain that they're going through in school when someone posts a video about them? Or do we just say, you'll get over it? Do we understand that our schools are investing in mental health more than any other time in our history? Even to the point where Cherry Creek is opening up the Traverse Center, which will be a day treatment facility for our kids who are having mental health concerns. Just about every school has a psychologist and sociologist in the school. Why? Because our kids are facing things that we didn't have to face as a kid. I'll give you an example. If I got into a fight, it wasn't posted on social media. I could give any narrative about that fight no matter how bad I look after the fight. But imagine the kid whose whole life story is posted and thousands of people commenting, saying unkind things. We didn't have to go through that. We have to start out with, I see you. And with that, I see you, I'm here for you. I'm here to protect you. I'm here to uplift you. And as I begin to close, there's one thing I would like to share and do. If you're an educator, please stand up. If you're a student, please stand up. Those, keep standing, keep standing, keep standing, keep standing. If you're a student, please stand up. I completely remain standing for 1 second. I completely see you. I feel you. I understand what you go through every single day. So for everyone else in the audience, I need a favor. When I say Sawubona, I want you to say, I see you. When I say Sawubona, I want you to say as loud as you can one time, I see you. Why as loud? I want the people downstairs, the people across University Road, the people that's walking through the Botanic Gardens now to know that we have the brightest and best in the room, and we have those teaching the brightest, the best in the room. So on 3, let's let everybody know I see you. 1, 2, 3. Sawubona. I see you. I love you. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening.